Welcome, everyone. We'll be waiting 2 to 3 minutes to get started as a courtesy to those who are still in the middle of connecting. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us and thanks for being part of our community. We have a great topic to cover today, but first, a few reminders. Please feel free to ask questions at any time by typing them in the IM window. Be aware that any questions you post will be publicly visible. However, if you prefer, you can post your question anonymously by checking the box right below where you enter it. We often get many questions on these webinars, and we will do our best to respond to all of them in real time, but I want to provide an additional mechanism to ensure any questions we miss get answered. If you'll visit aka.ms/ASC IoT community, you'll be able to ask questions in our forum. And if you're listening to this after the fact as a recording, that's a great place to answer questions as well. All these links that I'm referencing here are pasted in the IM window, so you can watch for them there as well. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared publicly. We will post the recordings on our community at aka.ms/ASC IoT recordings. While you're there, please join our community by visiting aka.ms/security community. That's the best way to ensure you don't miss any future webinars or major announcements. On our community, you can speak directly to our engineering teams that create our security products. You'll be able to influence our product designs and get early access to changes by doing things like participating in private previews, requesting features, giving feedback, reviewing our product roadmaps, attending in-person events, or joining webinars like this. We believe that the best way to improve our products is by removing any barriers between you and the people that create them. So we hope you'll join us. After this call, we'd love to get your feedback at aka.ms/ASC IoT webinar feedback, so we can learn whether these webinars are providing value to you and we can learn how we can improve. We have a fascinating topic for you today. We'll be talking about Azure Security Center for IoT. I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, Lior Lukov. He's a senior program manager on our ASC for IoT product team, so he has deep expertise in this topic. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to him. Lior?
Hi, Ryan. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining this session. Many thanks to Ryan Heffernan for facilitating this call and to Valon Kolika for helping with sending all the invites. And I also like to thank Devrim and Ben Saller from our marketing department for putting in place all the marketing collateral for this presentation. The agenda for today would basically give you an overview of Azure Security Center for IoT. As some of you know, Azure Security Center for IoT is now in GA and is available to all of Azure IoT Hub customers and Azure Security Center customers across 28 regions. So today we'll go quickly over the main motivation and the main challenges of the IoT world. We'll also cover the main strength of our products. We'll see how you basically can onboard to Azure Security Center for IoT. And then I'll show you a live demo of the product. We'll explore the security alerts. We'll explore recommendations. We see how you can set up the product and harden the security even further. And we'll also discuss the different personas that the product aims to address. So today we see more and more companies who are constantly improving the speed and accuracy of their decision making by making intelligent data-driven decisions and improving the organization profitability and overall efficiency. Digital transformation empowers organizations to make data-driven decisions by connecting and collecting data from their most critical assets within the organization using IoT. But with that great potential comes also risks. As we see that new IoT deployments come online, the attack interface on those IoT devices connected to the network, and also the cloud services that's storing the data from those IoT devices is growing, creating new opportunities for attackers who target IoT. By 2020, we believe that there are going to be around 20 billion IoT devices connected. So that comes with a lot of risks as well that should be addressed. But just to understand what are the main challenges of IoT today. So an IoT deployment can get really complex. You're looking at configuring an IoT hub, you're looking at configuring your IoT devices. There can be tens of dozens of devices. In some deployments might be even millions of devices. So there is plenty of room for error, and attackers can exploit those devices or this solution. Also, if you're looking at IoT devices, they're heterogeneous, coming from a long tail of vendors that sometimes may lack proper security measures. We've heard of some IoT devices basically are being left open with factory default security credentials, making it really, really easy to exploit. In terms of looking at the security challenges of organizations, some organizations might not have the skill set or even the headcount of the SecOps team in order to be able to take to add security into those new workloads, as well as they're already overloaded with dealing with security within their IoT IT domain. And also organizations find it difficult to deploy and to extend their security to IoT, given that their systems, their security products, facing with traditional IT security challenges and do not have the capabilities to address this new offering or this new risk. Let's take a look at a traditional attack kill chain, and how it basically can be changed when you're looking at IoT. So an attack kill chain starts with an exposure. So we're looking at insecure configuration applications that can be looking at various vulnerabilities, weak ciphers, and so on within your application. That can be admins with too many privileges, or too many admins who basically have privileges to your solution. You're looking at insecure configured devices, or even misconfigured IoT hubs. Once an attacker basically exposed those vulnerabilities, that basically they'll try to access into those resources in order to obtain full control. So they'll be looking at virtual machines, web applications that are connected to your IoT solution, getting stolen credentials, applying brute force attacks, and trying to hack into IoT devices. Once an attacker basically managed to get an access into one of those areas, they'll start with a lateral movement within your corpnet in order to get into your crown jewels, into the most security and most vulnerable areas within your organization. That would be by attacking your web applications, trying to get access into your most critical SQL databases, into the hubs, into the devices, and finally, in order to be able to take certain actions, such as data loss, data exfiltration, in some cases, DDoS attacks, such as happened with the Mirai attack on 2016, or taking even the full factory, the full organization to an outage, as there was a very famous attack, which is called the Triton attack, happened in 2017, when basically an attacker managed to get into the industrial control system and basically cause the full shutdown of the factory. So if we're looking at our solution, so we're looking at Azure Security Center for IoT, basically brings a true end-to-end solution, starting from the edge devices to the, starting from the leaf devices through the edge devices, going through the IoT Hub and your entire Azure solution. We're looking at providing a single pane of glass. So basically you'll have a single point when you basically can land there as a CISO or as a SecOps and see the full security posture across all your organization, starting with your network, with your VMs, with your storage, as well as with your IoT hub and IoT devices, providing you with sophisticated analysis and management capabilities, giving you the ability to provision IoT devices within the Azure IoT Hub, giving you the ability to monitor the health of your IoT devices, and find and identify areas of risk or areas that require some additional mitigation through Azure Security Center, as well as to give you deep investigation capabilities using SIEM of your choice or Azure Sentinel, our new cloud SIEM solution. Let's take a look at what an IoT solution is. I'll start with emphasizing an important fact that we believe that simply just securing your IoT devices is not enough, because once you secure your IoT devices, that means that the data goes from your devices to your hub, but from the hub, it can basically go to your storage, to compute, to web applications, and to many other resources on Azure. So simply just putting protection on the devices is not enough, as somebody, for example, might be able to attack your web application that is connected to your IoT devices and pull all the data from the web application. Or somebody would get access into your SQL server or to your Azure Blob storage, for example, and get that information. So for that reason, we believe that a real solution, a proper IoT solution, should be an holistic approach when basically all the data is being protected, starting from the devices, through the edge, through the communication from the device and the edge to the IoT Hub, and from the Hub into your entire solution. Azure Security Center for IoT is the first IoT security service from a major cloud provider to deliver a unified security-focused view across the entire IoT solution. Later on, when we'll jump into the demo, I'll show you exactly how you start and define a solution, an IoT solution, to make sure that all these resources, starting from the endpoint devices through your Azure resources, are fully protected. When we're looking at our solution, so basically we are addressing two main personas, and you'll find that the solution is split into two main screens. The first persona would be the OT, or the IoT solution DevOps. These are the people who are basically working with the IoT solution on a daily basis. They configure the IoT devices, they configure the IoT hub, they make sure that all the devices are provisioned, all the data is being sent from the devices through the hub, and they're the ones who are basically interested in analyzing what is the actual risk, what are the current vulnerabilities or the areas that require improvement that should be protected by the solution. Those people are going to consume the solution alerts and recommendations from the IoT hub interface. Another persona, a different persona, that would be the CISO or the IT security and SecOps. They're interested in a more holistic and a more high-level view across the entire organization, not just the IoT hub. So they'll be looking at your network, and they'll be looking at your storage and at your compute, as well as your IoT devices and your IoT hub. But in that case, they'd like to get like a 12,000 feet overview of what are the different risks, what are the different alerts and recommendations, and they'll forward that to the right person who should be in charge to deal with those risks. So in order to make sure that we address these different personas, our solution is actually split into two different interfaces, and I'll show you later how our solution provides this information. I'd like now to jump into the product. Let me share my other screen and show you how the product looks like and basically how you onboard to Azure Security Center for IoT. Stay with me. Okay, so I opened my Azure portal and I've just opened my IoT Hub. So those of you who are less familiar with the IoT Hub, so basically IoT Hub Overview screen gives you a high-level overview about all the devices and messages that are currently monitored and provisioned within your IoT Hub. You can see in this example here that I have 1,161 IoT devices connected to my hub. Now you'll note that on the left-hand side, basically there is a new blade here. There's a new section which is called security. This is a new section that is now available for all IoT hubs out there since we released general availability of Azure Security Center for IoT. Let's start with clicking on the overview menu. Clicking on the overview menu will basically bring the onboarding screen to Azure Security Center for IoT. So you'll find here some information about what our solution is about. In my IoT Hub, I have 1,161 devices. So that will tell me, it will give a rough estimate of how much this solution is going to cost for me. You'll see that for 1,161 devices, the overall cost is going to be $1.161 per month. You can learn more about our pricing model by clicking on this link here. And then basically that will give you all the information you need about how the pricing is being calculated. Also, you'll see that there is information here about zero integration. And in fact, this is the main promise, the big promise of our solution, that in order to get value straight away, in order to get security value straight away from your IoT hub, so basically in 1 minute, and I'll show you how you can do that, you can get that value straight away. So there's more information here about zero integration and what value can you get by taking the built-in deployment, which requires nothing, no integration at all, simply just with a single click of a button, versus if you'd like to get some enhanced security. So there are certain actions that you need to take in place with our agents that will give you a deep dive into the devices. More information you can find in this link that is available directly from the onboarding screen. Also, we have some additional useful information here to learn more about our solution and watch some nice videos about our overall solution. Now let's take a look at how the Azure Security Center for IoT onboarding process looks like. So basically all what you have to do is to click on that button here. And that would take you into the onboarding screen. So the first step in order to onboard is that you need to create a workspace. An Azure Azure Log Analytics workspace. This is basically like a database that basically stores all your security events collected from your devices and from your IoT Hub. So you can choose between an existing workspace if you already have a subscription and you have a workspace where you'd like to store all your data, or you can go and create a new workspace, ensuring that all your security data is going to be stored under that workspace. Please note that you are the only owners of that workspace. So you have the rights to provision that workspace. You have the rights to set who is the owner and who has the view rights to consume the content of that workspace. Creating a new workspace would basically open the creating a new workspace wizard. And that would ask you to fill in the Azure Log Analytics name. You can choose under which subscription you'd like to create this new workspace. And you can set the resource group where you'd like this workspace to be managed. After creating a workspace, let's just go back. Basically, all what you have to do is to advance configuration. If you'd like to to enable metadata collection and you'd like to store device security events into Log Analytics, they're all set by default. And after clicking Save, basically your solution will be onboarded. Now I'd like to take you into an onboarded solution and show you how the security looks like. So here I have an IoT Hub, which I already onboarded to Azure Security Center for IoT. Let me take you now to the security overview of an IoT Hub, which is already onboarded. All right, please note that so far we've been dealing with the OT persona and the IoT DevOps persona. So everything that you see here aims for the people who are working with your IoT solution on a daily basis. Later on, we'll see the other view for the CISO. So in the overview screen, basically what you see is that you get a high-level view about what are the different about the recommendations, the security recommendations and alerts that you have within your solution. So we'll start with looking at the health monitoring. So you'll see that currently I'm monitoring one hub, this is the name of my hub. I can see that I provision 1,100 devices, and you can see how many recommendations do I have of high level, of medium level, and of a low level. You can also see what are the different resources that I have. Just one step before, so currently this is an existing workspace with an existing solution. Before you are going to go to that view, you'll be basically required to go and define what is your IoT solution. So the way to do that is by going and clicking on resources. So as soon as you onboard, by default, the monitored resources are going to be your IoT Hub, and are going to be the subscription of your IoT Hub. However, I'm sure that you have more resources in your organization, that you have more resources in your IoT solution that requires a security monitoring. So in order to do that, in order to define what are the other Azure resources that require monitoring, you can basically go there and define them. So clicking on the Edit button would take you into the Solution Management view. And basically here you can go and say, here are the different subscriptions which require your monitoring, and here are the different resource groups which require the IoT monitoring. So for instance, if you have an environment for staging and you have an environment for development and you have an environment for production, you can go and say, okay, here are all the resources under those specific resource groups that I'd like to monitor. After selecting these resources, these resource groups, excuse me, all the resources under those resource groups are going to be automatically added to your solution. So clicking on apply here would basically refresh the list, and you should now get all the resources under all the new resources under your solution. So you'll see that I have here a list of VMs which are part of my IoT solution, and I have here subscriptions, and I have here SQL servers, and all kind of other resources which basically consist of my basically create my IoT solution. And for each one of these resources, I get a high-level view of what are the different recommendations, what are the security recommendations that my solution recommends in order to be better, more secured. And here I can get a breakdown by how many of those recommendations are high level, medium level, or low level. So this is a critical step that you have to do once, after you onboard to Azure Security Center for IoT. So you define the scope of your IoT solution. Please note that after you define the scope of your IoT solution and you specify resource groups, then any other future resource that you'll be adding to those resource groups will dynamically be added to your solution. So if later on I add more VMs into that specific resource group, they are going to be automatically added to my solution. Now let's go back to the overview screen. And you'll see that basically all the resources that we defined here are now considered it as part of my IoT solution. Let's let it load for a sec. And now that number just changed to 98. So now I have 98 detected resources that basically my IoT solution would monitor and would alert me whenever there are any recommendations or alerts on those resources. On the left-hand side, you'll see device recommendations, all right? And you see the total number of devices that I have under with high severity recommendations versus medium versus low. The reason why we've split this screen into resources and devices is that in vast majority of the cases, there are going to be many more IoT devices versus resources. So whenever you create your IoT solution, you might have SQL servers and web application and Azure Blob and other resources. Are probably be looking at dozens of resources. However, in real deployment, you might have tens of thousands to sometimes up to millions of IoT devices. So we decided that it would be better to split those two into devices versus resources. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see another split, but this time about alerts. So here you'll see the overall alert trend over time, and you'll see how many alerts you had from each one of those priorities. On the right-hand side, you'll see alerts, but this time at the resource level. And here on the right-hand side, you see the most prevalent device recommendations and some resources with the most alerts. So after looking at this high-level view, let's jump into specific security alerts and recommendations. So the first screen I want to show you is the security alerts. Right, coming. All right, so the security alert screen, you can see a list of all the active security alerts that you have in place. Know that those alerts are prioritized, are ordered from high severity through medium to low. And please note that those alerts are covering not only your IoT devices, but your entire Azure posture. So for instance, here I have the first alert is looking at suspicious process executed. So basically we identified here that somewhere on your Azure, there was a suspicious process running on my VM, for instance. And there are other cases when you could basically look at, here is an attempt of a potential SQL injection to a web application, which is connected to your IoT solution. So all these alerts here coming from environment Azure are basically part of your solution, not only your devices, while other specific alerts are coming from a specific device. So for instance, I can take a look at this alert. This alert alerts me on detected file download from a non-malicious source. Let's take a look at this specific alert. So there should be no reason why somebody would basically download a malicious code or a code from a malicious source. So we can, by opening this alert, I can basically see, here's the description. I can see, get some more information about my subscription, and as well as getting remediation steps, what I should do in order to remediate that alert, as well as further investigation. So clicking on that further investigation would basically take me into Azure Log Analytics, which we defined earlier when we created the workspace. And this is basically the place where all my security events are being routed and being stored. Azure Log Analytics gives you a query language using KQL, which stands for Kusto Query Language, when basically you can go and create and custom your query language per your preference. So by default, after clicking on that link and opening that menu, I can basically see all the devices and all the events that actually trigger that alert. So let's open, for example, the last record, and then I get the device ID. You can see which device actually caused that alert. I can see the time that that event has been generated. Again, the display name of that alert. See that download the file from a known malware source was detected. And then I can go and basically expand the properties and get more information. So for instance, that specific alert has been invoked because somebody tried to download a file from pastebin.com, which was believed to be a malware. All right, and you can slice and dice this information. You can choose more columns. You can even create it and display it over a chart. And there are all kind of other more advanced capabilities that Azure Log Analytics offers you. Other than that, you can see also other alerts from different types. So you can see, some of those alerts are pre-configured, are basically part of our overall out of the box security offering, while some of them are customized, which means that basically you can go and tune them for your purpose. In order to do that, you have to go and click on Custom Alerts. Let me open Custom Alerts. So in Custom Alerts, we basically give you the flexibility to go and harden your IoT solution even further and create some additional custom alerts. So for instance, you can look at the default, which applies to all your IoT devices, and you can go and select various custom alerts types. For instance, you can go and limit which IP addresses are allowed for outbound connections or for incoming connections. You can go and set the file upload threshold. You can set what is considered to be a legit or illegit local file logins, and so on. In reality, not all devices, not all IoT devices are equal. So you might have within your organization, let's take, for example, a factory. You might have IoT web cameras, and you might have conference devices, and you might also have core engines. Obviously, applying certain security measures on the core engines are much more important than applying those security measures on any other IoT device. For that purpose, we give you the full flexibility to go and harden the security on the core engines even further. So you can go and click on those core engines, and for instance, you can go and explicitly set what are considered to be the allowed or disallowed processes to run on the core engines. So in this example here, I went and specifically defined which processes are allowed to run on the core engines, and any other process which is not part of this whitelist is basically going to trigger an alert. And again, we have here the flexibility to create several dozens of predefined custom alerts. You could go and change the thresholds of those alerts. All right, so far we've been dealing with alerts. Now let's take a look at the recommendation view. So while alerts are basically aimed to give you a high-level view of real-time events that attacking your IoT security solution, recommendation aims to help you have a more secured IoT solution. And the way that you can get a more secured IoT solution is by basically following these different recommendations in order to get a more security solution. So for instance, you can see that the most trivial one would basically say, here I have in my solution 1,103 IoT devices. However, currently I do not have an agent installed on all of them. So in 882 devices out of my 1,000 devices, currently there is no agent installed. The purpose of Azure Security Center for IoT Agent is basically to inspect not only the connectivity between the device to the hub, but also to inspect what's going on within the hub. What's going on within the device. So installing an agent and on a device lets you have a deeper analysis of what are the processes that are running on that device, what are the open ports, which IPs basically try to access that device, what are the outgoing IPs from that device, and so on. So that gives you a lot more flexibility. It gives you a lot more ability to look at different aspects of your operating system, of your device, and basically fire alerts. For that reason, we believe that it will get a much better security with installing security agent on your devices. However, please keep in mind that this is not mandatory. Even if you have your devices connected to the IoT Hub and you're simply just going to secure your IoT Edge or even secure only your IoT Hub, you're still going to get a lot of value from our solution. Other recommendations here basically apply to your entire IoT solution, not only the devices and the hubs. So you'll find here some recommendations which are looking at virtual machines. For example, disk encryption should be applied, or you better harden your virtual machine management by having a just-in-time network access. Also, when looking different aspects of your subscription. So for instance, if you set up an IoT solution and you put a lot of effort in protecting your devices and a lot of effort to configure your IoT Hub properly. However, the subscription that basically manages all these devices is open to 50 different people within your organization. So obviously your solution is not secured enough. So you'll get your notification saying that, hey, please take a look at, for example, I do not have a multi-factor authentication on my subscription, or maybe too many people, too many privileges are open on that subscription, and so on. Also, you'll get some specific recommendations, for instance, on IoT devices that we identified that some IoT devices get open ports that should go and close them, or some permissive firewall policies that should be in place. So to summarize, the main goal of the recommendation screen is to give you a high-level view of what are the different risks that you have across your IoT solution and how you can better address them in order to have a better security. So far, we've been looking from the realm of, or from the eyes of the OT developer, or from the OT security guy, or from the IoT DevOps guys. Now let's switch to the other persona of the CISO or the SecOps persona within your organization. So if we'll go and click on Security Center, that would basically take me to Azure Security Center, which is a separate service. All right, so those of you who are familiar with Azure Security Center gives you a high-level view about what is your overall security posture within your solution. So you can get starting with what is your current policy and compliance score. So you'll get a secure score, which basically tell you how much are you compliant with certain regulations. What is your subscription coverage, as well as what is your resource security hygiene across compute and app resources, across data storage, networking, identity and access resources, and also across IoT hubs and resources. So from the eyes of the CISO, from the eyes of the SecOps, basically I can see here what is my high-level score across all the IoT hubs that I have within my organization, not just a specific hub. Double-clicking on the IoT hub on this menu here would basically list all the IoT hub resources that I have within your organization. So then I can go and basically get the high-level recommendations into each one of those hubs, as well as and what is the current severity, what are the number of recommendations that I have, how can I basically get a better security score by applying those recommendations, as well as how many failed resources do I have that I actually have to go and take an action. Can click on the IoT resources, and then I'll basically get a full list of all the resources, IoT resources within my organization. And I can go and double click a specific resource. For example, let's select the first one. And that would give me, again, a high level view, but now at that specific resource of choice. I can see how many recommendations I have, how many recommendations from each priority. And if now I'm interested to go and investigate that even further, then I can click on the resource name, and that would take me to the IoT Hub that basically manages all those resources and back to the SecOps view. So that was in high level. We basically covered the main features of our solution. I'd like quickly just jump into an architecture view, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. Stay with me for a moment, please. All right. Just a moment, please. Okay, so this is a high-level IoT architecture diagram, which basically covers the main component that we've just discussed so far. So we start with having the ability to collect security events from the field, from your devices, from your edge devices, as well as through the hub. So in order to be able to collect security events directly from your devices, you'll need to either install the Azure Security Center for IoT agent on those devices, or to put a central IoT edge, which is connected to those devices and aggregates the security events from those devices and send them to the hub. The agent that we developed in our group is an open source. It is supported on Ubuntu, on Debian, and Windows 10 IoT Core, and it's fully flexible, and we developed it as lean as possible, so letting you the ability to take it, to tweak it, and basically break it into components and put it on your devices in order to monitor the areas of your interest. Again, in order to have security on your overall IoT solution, installing an agent or installing an edge is not mandatory. However, you'll get more value by installing those agents. In order to send security events from your agents and from your devices to the IoT Hub, you'll need to install the IoT SDK with the security extension. The SDK is available from our GitHub. Once all these events land in the IoT Hub, so basically we take them through some processing. We go and we enrich them with additional information. For example, we go and collect them into Microsoft Threat Intelligence, which is a service that scans 6 trillion security signals on a daily basis, which is a huge number, of course, allowing you to identify which IPs are basically coming from malicious, from Tors or from botnets, or which kind of processes within your devices believed to be malicious. As well as analyzing the behavior of your devices, the behavior of your IoT Hub, the connectivity between your devices and your IoT Hub, running them against our detection models, and allow us to generate alerts and recommendations based on those models. Eventually, after we run our detection mechanism, we'll basically generate the alerts and recommendations that we've seen earlier and post them. So we'll put them under the Azure IoT Hub for that specific hub that the alert was triggered from. We also put it under Azure Security Center, as we've seen here earlier, giving you a high-level view, as well as the ability to export them into any other SIEM of your choice. So basically, the alerts are going to be stored under Azure Log Analytics, and from Azure Log Analytics, you can take them and export them to any SIEM that you like. And obviously, we'll have a seamless integration with Azure Sentinel, which allows you to have a deeper investigation capabilities into those alerts. This is a high-level view of our solution. If you have more specific questions, which I'm sure that you will have, feel free to reach out to our product management or to our engineering experts. So we've opened a new community channel, which is called AKMS, Azure Security Center IoT Community. Basically, this is an open community when you're more than welcome, more than encouraged, in fact, to go and post there your questions, ask suggestions, feature requests, or any other important input that you believe that we as a product management team should be aware of, and we'll be more than happy to try to help you with. Also, we are going to use this channel to post upcoming events, new features. We're going to run polls on certain features that we'd like to consider to the product and keep you updated with what's coming next. Also, we added a link to our product documentation when you can get all kind of information of how to get started and how to have a better use of the Azure Security Center for IoT. And the last link, which is maybe the most important from this session, and this is the action item that I'd like you to do. So after you understand all the great value of Azure Security Center for IoT, I highly recommend you to go into your IoT Hub, go to the security blade, go to the overview, and basically switch on Azure Security Center for IoT and get this value straight away. If you need more information about all these new capabilities and new offerings, then please go and click on that link here that Ryan will share with you later on Quick Start Onboards to IoT Hub, and that would give you some additional information of what you need to know in order to onboard. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this session. Now we'll have some time for questions and answers.
Excellent. Thank you, Lior. That was fantastic. I want to remind everyone that now is your chance to ask questions to get them answered live on the call. So you can do that by hitting the purple Ask a Question button down in the right-hand corner. If you're not seeing that, look up in the upper right-hand corner for the question mark icon, and sometimes you have to click on that to expand it so that you can see the IM column where you actually ask the questions there. Let me give you a couple here that we've had come in. Is this solution also available for IoT Central?
All right, so great question. So IoT Central is one of the IoT solutions that Microsoft offers. IoT Central aims to provide a slightly different use case than the one that we provide. The main idea of IoT Central is basically that you as the IoT device owner shouldn't be managing or provisioning your devices directly on IoT Hub, but IoT Central takes responsibility into building and securing your IoT devices and simply just giving you telemetry. So this is a slightly different use case. For customers or manufacturers or organizations or interested in having a full security solution, the full provisioning capabilities into the IoT devices and interested in Azure Security Center and IoT Hub view, so then our solution would fit their needs. If you're a customer or a manufacturer, basically simply just want to send telemetry data from your IoT devices into Central without being able to, without the need to provision these devices, but simply just to consume this telemetry data, then IoT Central would be the right solution for you. I saw another question here that was about if do we have real customers. So the answer is absolutely yes. We GA'd our solution a week ago, but we've been in public preview for a number of months. There are tens of thousands of customers running on IoT Hub, and many of them are already using our solution.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lior. See, we've got another question here. Would you show us how we might look up the running invoiceable costs of security components?
All right, so looking at the actual costs, let me jump back to the solution. All right, I just share my screen again. All right, you should be seeing my screen now. So before you onboard, there is a link here to the actual costs. Let me open it. So the cost is basically divided, is split into two. So there is a cost for the IoT Hub. IoT Hub costs, that depends on the size of your IoT Hub according to the number of messages that your hub can consume per month, starting from $25 per month for the IoT Hub, as well as there is the cost for the Azure Security Center for IoT. And the cost here is by number of devices which are connected to the hub. So for instance, for 1,000 devices connected to the hub, you'll be paying $1 per month. Also, there is an additional cost if you have an Azure Security Center for IoT agent, which is running on your devices, and those devices send security messages to the IoT Hub, which have been consumed by our solution. And the total cost of those messages is for 25,000 security messages, you'll be paying 20 cents. So I hope this answered your question.
Great. While we wait to confirm that answered, we've got another one here. Does the service validate patch level of the IoT device? And also, does it check the configuration of the IoT device, checking, for example, to validate whether the default admin login or password have been changed?
All right. So there are various aspects of device inspection that our agent does. Once you install, in fact, there is a Git. If you go to our GitHub page, you'll get all the collectors that the device, that the agent actually inspects within the device, such as what processes are running, what are the open ports, who are the users who logged into that device as well. As for the patch level of the IoT device, it all depends on what kind of information you expose and what kind of information you send. You will have an information, for example, if you installed our agent, so you'll know what is the agent version that was installed on that device. But again, just look at the devices and the agent as an open source solution that basically you can take it and you can tweak it and you can expand it with your specific device needs. So for instance, if you are interested in some additional information, let's say, for instance, that your device collects some specific telemetry that you'd like to share with us, then all what you have to do is basically to send that telemetry as well as part of the data that is being sent from the device, and then you can go within Azure Alerts and create custom alerts based on that.
Excellent, thanks. Another question here, can you expand on the use cases you see? How are customers integrating brownfield infrastructures?
All right, so this is a great question. So the way that we address brownfield is in various ways. Some customers basically go and install our agents on their brownfield deployments. So that means that they basically go and install the agent and send those security events from the devices to the hub. In other cases, we're integrating with a number of manufacturers, with device manufacturers who are going to have our agent built in within their solution. That means that basically, if your factory basically or your organization uses one of those devices by those manufacturers, you are going to have built-in IoT agent capabilities. And the third solution So for instance, if you're looking at an organization which currently has IoT devices which are currently not monitored, so we are partnering with a number of Azure Security Center, with number of IoT security vendors out there who basically can capture those events through our agentless solution and display them within our solution. So I'd like to better understand what is the use case. So feel free to reach out to us and tell us about the person asked that question and tell us about the specific use case of your interest, and we can basically find you the right solution.
And in order to reach out to us, you can do it on that community to the links we gave earlier, and I'll give them again at the end here. Or if it's a scenario you want to describe privately, you can do it through a private message on Tech Community, which is at that same link. All right, another question here. You mentioned the agent versus agentless scenarios and a difference in capability there. Can you expound on a little bit for what those differences might be, what capabilities you might have or not have?
Yes, of course. So in fact, let me open just a link that basically explains that, and you can look at that while we are talking about the main difference. So we're looking at zero integration deployment versus an agent deployment. So I'll start with the built-in deployment. The built-in deployment basically looks at all the aspects of the device to hub connectivity. That would include the connection, securing the connection between the device and the hub. That would include the device identity, how the tokens of the device, or how the security, how to secure the connectivity between the device to the hub, as well as how your IoT hub is configured. There's plenty of room for error to do wrong configurations of your IoT hub, and by enabling our solution, straight away you will start to get alerts and recommendations on how to better configure your IoT hub, how to better configure your devices, and how to better configure the communication between the devices to the hub. For instance, if you have, let's say, for example, that you've been using exactly the same token by 10 different devices, this is something that you'd like to know about, that this is considered as a misconfiguration. However, if you're interested to have a deeper inspection into the device itself, for instance, what are the processes that are running on the device? So this is something that we cannot identify by simply having an agentless solution. In order to inspect what processes are running on the OS on the device, we need to have an agent installed on that device. And then that agent basically inspects the traffic, inspects the processes, looks at various areas within the device, and sends those security events, which can be monitored and detected for suspicious behavior.
Excellent, thank you. We're about out of time here, so let me give a couple of final links. So if we didn't get to your question, you can post it on our forum at aka.ms/ASC/IoT community. If you're looking for the recording of this webinar, you can find that at aka.ms/ASC/IoT recordings. We'd love to have you also join our general security community, which includes not only a link to this ASC IoT forum specifically, but links to the forums for all of our other security products. So you can find a bunch of others there and dig into how they integrate. And then, of course, we would also love to have your feedback on this webinar and see whether it's providing value to you and how we can improve. And you can give us that feedback at aka.ms/ASC/IoT webinar feedback. With that, I want to thank you, Lior, very much for a fascinating presentation. And of course, I want to thank all of you for joining us and being part of our community. We hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much.